Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Avax. I do want to say that I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. If you haven't seen the previous update, make sure to watch that before watching this one so that you have more context. It's going to be linked in the top right-hand corner of the screen. And without further ado, let's get straight into the TA. So jumping into Avax, as you can see, we're about to print the bullish cross on the daily chart, and that would typically be a very bullish sign, but in a bear market, I don't think we should pay attention to the daily bullish crosses as much because that is short term. You have to look for the weekly bullish crosses, especially on Bitcoin. As you can see here, we got the bullish cross in August, and soon after we got the bearish cross a week after, or what was that, like 2 weeks after that. So it really isn't a very strong buy signal is what I'm trying to say. Because we are still in a bear market, there is still a big possibility that we may retrace all the way down here to $14, just like we did in October. And I gave you all of these support levels here. As you can see, we bounced off of that, and from there we were up 42%. That was a very nice entry for anyone looking to buy some Avax. And to be quite honest with you, we are looking at a very nice double bottom pattern here for Avax. So taking that trend line and taking it all the way down to the bottom here. Let me just straighten it out a little bit more. There we go. What happened there? So you take a trend line from the top, right? And then you drag it all the way to the neckline of the pattern. And the neckline is basically the high that you print in between the two lows. And that gives you a target at $60.25, okay? Roughly that's going to be our target, and that is one of our previous all-time highs, okay? So yeah, that's potentially what we're going to be looking at maybe in spring this year. That is possible, but we have to consider Bitcoin. Always consider Bitcoin. Whatever setup you may have for your altcoin on the price action chart, Bitcoin can ruin that in a snap. So just be ready for that. Be ready to buy the dip at any time. Always have some cash. Never buy all in. Be smart. So a major resistance level here that we may run into is this support, or previous support, I should say, of the symmetrical triangle. So we lost the support in September, and we haven't retested it as resistance yet. And that is potentially what we may be doing here. We may be just climbing up until we retest that as resistance, and then we come back down to retest $19 here as the 0.382 of the Fibonacci retracement. That is potentially what is happening here, so we have to be ready for that. Another thing that could happen is we may get rejected from the previous resistance of the symmetrical triangle, because you can simply extend the trend lines. These trend lines are still valid even though you're out of the pattern. That doesn't mean the trend lines disappear. No, you can still run into them and you can still target them if you want to, leave Avax, you want to get out of the project, you want to take your, 50% profit and then you want to leave. That's all fine. So that's why I have them here. I'm not telling you to sell here. I'm not telling you to swing trade. Actually, what I'm telling you is buying right now and holding for the next 2 years is the best possible thing that you could do. But everyone has different financial plans. Everyone has, different situations, and some people may want to swing trade, and I'm simply giving them a couple of resistance levels if they want to get out of the project. Personally, I don't have any Avax. I'm not buying into the project. This is not one of the projects that interests me very much. Not saying this is a bad project particularly. There are just others that I'm very interested in. So yeah. Now, taking a look at the Fibonacci retracement, what I have here is I have the lows that we printed in July and June last year, and we have the swing high in February of 2021. We got all the way to the 1.414. We retested the 0.236 twice as of now, as you can see, and this is potentially a very nice bullish reversal pattern. So as long as we don't lose this low that we created here at the end of October, we should be good. We should be good for continuation, and what I would like to see is obviously this August high broken, because when you start breaking highs and you start creating higher highs and higher lows, that's when you can tell you're basically starting an uptrend. But if you do something like this, you print your August high, you come back down, you start retracing, you run into this resistance here, and you print another low. That's basically a continuation of the downtrend, or you're printing some sort of a new pattern. So for a very strong and healthy uptrend, you need to see previous highs broken. And that's not what we're seeing right now for Avax. So there is no point in me telling you that we're going to have, you know, a target to $40, $60. As long as you don't break this, we're not going to have any targets to the upside. And the double bottom pattern that I just gave you to the $60, you know, we're going to get there only if we break this high, obviously. So if we don't break this high, that's not going to be your technical target out of the double bottom pattern. So obviously you also have the golden ratio here to consider. You have the 0.618 Fibonacci and you have the 0.5. As you can see, that's exactly where you ran into in August, and you got rejected from there. Effectively, you just created a dead cat bounce because you created your high, you came back down, you ran into the golden ratio, and you got sent back down. That's called a dead cat bounce. That's what played out here. But we didn't lose. Luckily, we didn't lose the June low. We held that, and we're retracing to the upside. So we still have a bullish pattern at our hand. So if you want to take profits and you bought off of the 0.236 here, you can wait until we get to the 0.5 at $23.8. That would be a nice level to take some profits, and also 29.67. Now, if you sell and you see the project, you know, fly afterwards, you don't have to worry about that, because if you're selling, that means you want to get out of the project. So you don't have to care that the project did a 3x after you sold. You know, that's on you. So just be prepared mentally for that. So you either want to just stay with your project, don't risk swing trading, especially if you don't know how to do it. If you're trying to force a trade, that's always going to end up, you know, bad for you. That's always going to end up in a terrible situation. And I'm speaking out of experience here. Never force a trade. As you can see with if you've seen my Chainlink and Polygon Matic updates, I sold basically the top on both of those with this local high that we just had. So we had two moves for Chainlink and Matic to the upside, and I basically sold the top for both of them because I was waiting for the RSI to get into the overbought. I was waiting for us to get overextended from the 20 EMAs, and that's where I took some profits. I took a look at some resistance levels, at some Fibonacci levels, and I decided that that's a good time to take profits. And after that, the price started, you know, going down. And that's not me being a wizard. That's me being patient and knowing when to sell. This comes with experience. So you have to be mentally prepared for the fact that if you sell, the price may not just stop there. You're gonna see something like this when the bull market kicks off. Imagine you sell right here, right now, and the bull market starts in 10 days. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be sitting here with your cash. So you're better off not risking if you don't know how to do that properly. And if you want to do that, if you want to learn how to do that, you want to ask questions, you want to work together, feel free to check out my Patreon. I'm swing trading with my patrons all the time. We sold some Chainlink together. We're taking a look at Uni, Aave, all of those coins. We're swing trading. So yeah, jump into the Patreon and reach out to me. And yeah, that's regarding the daily chart. Went off on a tangent there. I do apologize. Jumping into the daily RSI, let's zoom out and take a look what's going on here. So obviously the yellow trend line is the most important one for us here because this is basically our support band since May. So we had a retest in May. We had another retest at the end of August, another retest here in October, and potentially once we have another retracement, the yellow trend line is going to be there to help us out. So I can actually remove the blue trend line here. We don't need that anymore. We also have the red descending diagonal trend line. That is something that you can keep an eye on because as you can see, we have retested that as resistance multiple times since November 2021. We had this fake out here in August, but that's because everything got very bullish in August. Other than that, we've had 3 touches and we broke above here. We haven't had the back test of support, so potentially that's what could come here in November. That is exactly what could come after we get the CPI data, the inflation data on November 10th. So maybe crypto will react to that. Maybe it won't care, just like it did, just like it didn't care with the interest rates hike. Now let's switch over to the Binance website. And before we continue the video, I quickly want to mention my Patreon. Now, if you like the channel and you like the content that I provide for you on this channel, then feel free to check my Patreon out for more exclusive content like low cap gem calls, my buy alerts, my sell alerts. I do take a look at your technical analysis requests, at your video requests. As you can see, there are multiple tiers which you can choose from, and if you want to support the channel, then this is the best way to do so. As you can see, I do post quite frequently. I have almost 1,000 posts, I think, there, or getting closer to 1,000 anyway, and I did start my Patreon a year ago. So yeah, let's get back to the video. Switching over to the weekly here, you can see that we are quite far away from the 20 EMA. We haven't had a back test since April, so something is gonna give here. We are either gonna, bounce off of the 20 and come back down, or we're absolutely going to break it, just like we did with some other altcoins, and we're gonna break this high. Once we do that, we're taking out the 55. That's our next target. So those could be your targets down the line. It all depends on Bitcoin. Maybe we get some bullish news for Avax or Avalanche separately, and that's why it sees a pump. No one knows if that's going to happen, or if you follow closely Avax and you have some events upcoming, then, just maybe hold on to your tokens until that event, gets closer, and, just sell before the event, because it's a buy the news and sell, or buy the rumor and sell the news type of situation. Because I don't personally follow Avax that closely, and I wouldn't know what kind of updates they're preparing. So on the weekly chart, you can see that we have a buy zone here from $14.82 to $13.69, and we did back test that twice here in October in the past month. So that was a great entry for us personally. And for me, like I said, I didn't buy any Avax. I don't want Avax right now, but these were very good buying opportunities. If we switch over to the weekly chart, you can see that we have multiple resistance levels above us. So one is at 41 and the other one is at 47. So these are going to be our targets, because once you start breaking, this high, you're going to have other targets to the upside, obviously. And your first one is here, 41. If you end up breaking that, then I would be looking at 47, because alt season, when the alt season starts creeping up, altcoins are going to start pumping, and you're going to be surprised how fast that's going to happen. You won't even have enough time to blink when your token does a 3x, just like that. But be careful. Like I said, you always have to be careful. Always be conservative. Always be conservative with your price targets. Don't get too greedy. 47, yeah, that would be a nice area for us to retest, because we did have 2 bounces from there in March and January this year. So potentially something like this playing out and us coming back down here for a retest. And yeah, so that's regarding the weekly RSI here. Like I said, if you start breaking these 2 levels, that's when things are going to start, looking bullish for us. You break that high, whoo, we're going to be on a roll here. But yeah, I hope we stay in this bear market for as long as possible, because I want to accumulate as much as possible, guys. But if I missed out anything important on the charts, please let me know down below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Patreon, all of that is linked down below. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.